The courtyard at Lincoln High School was a concrete jungle, buzzing with the chaotic energy of a Friday afternoon lunch break. The September sun beat down on the cracked pavement, where students clustered in groups, jocks tossing a football, freshmen hunched over their phones, cheerleaders practicing a routine near the bleachers. Laughter and shouts mixed with the distant hum of a lawnmower, the air thick with the smell of cafeteria pizza and cut grass. At the edge of the chaos, under the shade of a scraggly oak tree, sat Zara Brooks, a 15-year-old freshman with a quiet intensity. Her dark skin glistened faintly in the heat, her tightly braided hair pulled into a high ponytail, her simple black t-shirt and jeans blending into the background. She leaned against the tree, her backpack at her side, a worn sketchbook open on her lap, her pencil moving in quick, precise strokes as she drew a sparring stance, her eyes sharp and focused. Zara was new to Lincoln, having moved to this suburban California town over the summer after her dad's job transfer. She'd kept to herself, navigating the school's social maze with a cautious grace, her earbuds often in, her head down. But she felt the stares, some curious, some hostile, the way certain kids whispered when she passed, the way teachers paused when calling her name, like they were testing it. She was used to it, growing up in places where she was one of the few black faces, but it didn't make the weight lighter. Lincoln was supposed to be a fresh start, a chance to focus on her art and her training, but high school had its own rules, and Zara knew she was already a target. Across the courtyard, a group of juniors lounged near the picnic tables, their laughter louder than the rest. At the center was Tyler Vance, a lanky 16-year-old with a buzz cut and a smirk that seemed permanently etched on his face. He was the kind of kid who owned the school, star of the wrestling team, loud enough to draw eyes, cruel enough to keep them. His crew, Jake, Mia, and a few others, followed his lead, their voices carrying as they tossed insults at passing freshmen. Tyler's eyes landed on Zara, alone under the tree, her sketchbook a shield he didn't understand. He nudged Jake, his voice low but sharp. "New girl's acting like she's too good for us," he said, loud enough for his group to laugh. Mia, flipping her blonde hair, giggled, pulling out her phone, already sensing a show. Zara's pencil paused, her ears catching the shift in their tone, the way their laughter sharpened. She didn't look up, her sketchbook still open, but her senses were on high alert. She'd faced bullies before, kids who saw her quietness as weakness, her difference as an invitation. But she wasn't weak. She'd been training in karate since she was 6, a black belt by 13, a regional champion by 14. Her dad, a former Marine, had taught her discipline, her dojo had taught her strength, but she kept it hidden, preferring peace over pride. Still, as Tyler's group grew louder, their whispers turning to taunts, she felt the familiar spark of defiance flare inside. Something was about to give, and Zara was ready to meet it head-on. The courtyard at Lincoln High School pulsed with the chaotic rhythm of a Friday lunch break, the September sun blazing down on the concrete expanse where students carved out their territories. Laughter clashed with shouts, the squeal of sneakers mixing with the tinny beat of music leaking from someone's phone. Under the scraggly oak tree at the courtyard's edge, Zara Brooks sat cross-legged, her sketchbook open on her lap, her pencil sketching the sharp lines of a karate kata, each stroke precise despite the heat prickling her dark skin. Her black t-shirt clung lightly to her frame, her braids swaying as a breeze stirred the air, her earbuds dangling and used around her neck. She'd felt the shift in the courtyard's energy minutes ago, the way the noise sharpened when Tyler Vance's group turned their attention to her. Their laughter, loud and deliberate, cut through the chatter, a signal she'd learned to recognize from years of being the new kid, the different kid. Zara kept her eyes on her sketch, but her senses were razor-sharp, cataloging every move, every word, ready for whatever came next. Across the pavement, near the picnic tables, Tyler Vance held court, his buzz cut glinting in the sun, his wrestler's frame slouched with practiced nonchalance. His crew, Jake, a stocky kid with a permanent scowl, Mia, flipping her blonde hair with a smirk, and a few hangers-on, fed off his energy, their voices rising as they tossed taunts at passing freshmen. Tyler's eyes locked on Zara, her solitude under the tree a challenge he couldn't resist. "Look at her," he said, loud enough to carry, nudging Jake. "Thinks she's some artist or whatever, sitting there like she's better than us." Mia giggled, her phone already out, filming a quick snap, her voice mock-sweet. "Maybe she's drawing her escape plan," she said, earning a round of laughs. Jake snorted, tossing a balled-up napkin toward Zara's tree, the paper landing a few feet short. "Yo, new girl," he called. "Why don't you come hang with the real kids?" Zara's pencil paused, her grip tightening, but she didn't look up. She'd heard worse, slurs in middle school, shoves in hallways, teachers who looked the other way. She knew bullies like Tyler thrived on reaction, and she wasn't about to give him one. Not yet. Her sketchbook stayed open, her hand moving again, drawing the curve of a roundhouse kick, her mind steady despite the heat rising in her chest. She wasn't here to fight, she wanted to draw, to study, to train in her dojo after school, but Tyler's voice grew louder, his taunts more pointed, pulling eyes from across the courtyard. "Yo, what's her deal?" Tyler said, standing now, his voice carrying over the crowd. "She's been here, what, a month? And she's too good to talk to anybody." He took a step toward her tree, his crew trailing, Mia's phone still filming, Jake cracking his knuckles like it was a performance. A few students nearby turned, some grinning, others shifting uncomfortably, the courtyard's energy tilting toward the spectacle. A freshman girl, Kayla, sitting on a bench with her lunch tray, glanced at Zara, her eyes wide, her sandwich forgotten. An older kid, Malik, leaning against a pillar with his headphones on, pulled one earbud out, watching the scene unfold, his brow furrowed. Zara closed her sketchbook, setting it on her backpack, her movements deliberate, her dark eyes finally lifting to meet Tyler's. He was closer now, maybe 10 feet away, his smirk wide, his posture screaming confidence. "What, you deaf or something?" he said, spreading his arms, playing to the growing crowd. "Or you just scared to talk? Come on, new girl, say something." Mia zoomed in, her voice chiming in. "Maybe she doesn't know how to talk," she said, her giggle sharp, her phone capturing Zara's face. Zara stood, her sneakers silent on the grass, her 5'4" frame unassuming but coiled, like a spring under pressure. She crossed her arms, her voice low but clear, cutting through the courtyard's noise. "I'm not scared, Tyler," she said, her eyes locked on his. "I just don't waste words on people who don't deserve them." The words landed like a slap, and the crowd murmured, some gasping, others laughing, Kayla's eyes widening, Malik's lips twitching into a faint smile. Tyler's smirk faltered, his face reddening, his ego stung by her calm defiance. "Oh, you got a mouth, huh?" he said, stepping closer, his voice louder, trying to reclaim the stage. "Big talk for someone who doesn't even belong here." He gestured at the courtyard, his crew nodding, Mia's camera steady. "You think you can just show up, act all quiet, and we're gonna roll out the red carpet? This ain't your school, girl." The word "girl" was sharp, laced with something uglier, and Zara felt it, the weight of his assumption, the way he leaned on her difference to rally his pack. Kayla stood, her tray shaking in her hands, her voice small but brave. "Leave her alone, Tyler," she said, earning a glare from Mia, who swung her phone toward her. "Mind your business, loser," Mia snapped, and Kayla shrank back, her face flushing. Malik straightened, pulling off his headphones, his voice deep, cutting through. "Yo, Tyler, chill. She's not bothering nobody." But Tyler ignored him, his focus on Zara, his smirk returning as he sensed the crowd's hunger for drama. Zara uncrossed her arms, her stance shifting subtly, knees bent, weight balanced, a habit from years in the dojo. "You don't know me, Tyler," she said, her voice steady, her eyes unyielding. "And you don't get to decide where I belong. So back off, or we're gonna have a problem." The courtyard went quieter, the crowd's murmurs intensifying, phones raised higher, Mia's video now joined by others, the scene spiraling into a viral moment waiting to happen. Tyler laughed, a harsh, barking sound, stepping closer, now just a few feet away, his bulk looming over her. "A problem," he mocked, cracking his knuckles, Jake and Mia egging him on. "What you gonna do, draw me a picture?" He reached out, snatching her sketchbook from her backpack, flipping it open, holding it high like a trophy. "Look at this, karate crap. You think you're some ninja now?" His crew roared, but Zara's eyes narrowed, her calm cracking, not from fear but from resolve. That sketchbook was hers, her art, her training, her escape, and Tyler had crossed a line. "Put it down," she said, her voice low, a warning that made Jake's laugh catch in his throat, Mia's phone zooming in. Tyler grinned, tossing the sketchbook to Jake, who fumbled it, pages fluttering. "Make me," Tyler said, stepping closer, his chest puffed out, daring her to react. Zara's heart raced, but her training kicked in, breathe, focus, assess. She could walk away, report him, let the school handle it, but she knew how that went, paperwork, excuses, Tyler's wrestling coach pulling strings. She'd seen it before. The crowd was growing, maybe 30 kids now, phones out, Kayla's eyes pleading, Malik stepping closer, his fists clenched. Zara met Tyler's gaze, her voice steady, a spark in her eyes. "Last chance, Tyler," she said. "Put it down, or I'll take it back." Tyler laughed, turning to his crew, oblivious to the storm he'd unleashed. The courtyard held its breath, phones capturing every second, and Zara knew this wasn't just about her sketchbook anymore. It was about standing up, and she was ready to show them all what she could do. The courtyard at Lincoln High School was a pressure cooker, the September sun scorching the concrete as a crowd of nearly 40 students formed a loose circle around Zara Brooks and Tyler Vance. The air crackled with tension, the hum of phones recording mingling with hushed whispers and the occasional shout of encouragement for Tyler, whose smirk gleamed like a blade. He stood just a few feet from Zara, her sketchbook now in Jake's hands, its pages flapping in the breeze as Jake waved it tauntingly. Mia's phone zoomed in, her blonde hair whipping as she angled for the perfect shot, her giggles sharp against the crowd's murmur. Zara's black t-shirt and jeans were unassuming, but her stance, knees slightly bent, shoulders relaxed, eyes locked on Tyler, was a study in control, a quiet power honed in countless dojo sessions. Her braids swayed as she shifted her weight, her dark eyes burning with resolve, her warning, "Put it down, or I'll take it back," still hanging in the air, a gauntlet Tyler was too arrogant to heed. Kayla, the freshman on the bench, clutched her lunch tray, her eyes wide with fear for Zara, while Malik, leaning against a pillar, stepped closer, his headphones dangling, his fists clenched, ready to intervene if things went too far. Tyler laughed, a harsh, grating sound, stepping closer, his wrestler's frame looming over Zara's 5'4". "Take it back," he mocked, his voice booming for the crowd, his buzz cut glinting in the sun. "What you gonna do, ninja girl? Kick me with your little drawings?" He turned to Jake, nodding, and Jake tossed the sketchbook high, Mia catching it with a squeal, flipping through the pages, her phone now live streaming to her social media, captions like, "New girls about to cry," flashing across the screen. The crowd buzzed, some laughing, others shifting uneasily, phones capturing every angle, the scene spiraling into a viral storm. "Come on," Tyler taunted, spreading his arms, daring Zara to move. "Show us what you got, or get lost." Zara's heart pounded, but her training kicked in, breathe, center, assess. She scanned the crowd, Mia's camera, Jake's smirk, Kayla's trembling hands, Malik's tense posture, the dozens of eyes hungry for drama. She could walk away, let Tyler have his moment, But the sketchbook wasn't just paper, it was her hours of practice, her dreams of blending art and karate, her defiance against every "you don't belong" she'd ever heard. She met Tyler's gaze, her voice low, steady, cutting through the noise. "You don't know what you're starting, Tyler. Last chance, give it back." Tyler snorted, stepping closer, now inches away, his breath hot with bravado. "Or what?" he said, shoving her shoulder, not hard, but enough to provoke, to test. The crowd gasped, phones zooming in, Mia's stream hitting 100 viewers, comments flooding in, "He's gonna wreck her. She's done." Jake laughed, egging Tyler on, but Malik pushed through the crowd, his voice deep. "Yo, Tyler, enough. Give her the book." Kayla stood, her tray clattering to the bench, her voice small but brave. "Stop it, Tyler. You're being a jerk." But Tyler ignored them, his eyes locked on Zara, his shove unanswered, his smirk widening as he mistook her calm for fear. Zara moved, faster than anyone expected, her body a blur of precision. She sidestepped Tyler's next shove, grabbing his wrist in a fluid motion, twisting just enough to throw him off balance. He stumbled, catching himself with a grunt, his face reddening as the crowd gasped, some cheering, others shouting. Mia's phone shook, her stream now at 200 viewers, hashtags like #courtyardfight trending. Jake lunged, trying to grab Zara's arm, but she pivoted, her footwork a dance from years of sparring, dodging him with ease. She reached Mia in 2 steps, her voice sharp but calm. "Give me my book." Mia froze, her smirk faltering, but before she could react, Tyler recovered, charging at Zara, his fist raised, aiming for her shoulder. The crowd roared, phones capturing every second, but Zara was ready. She ducked under Tyler's swing, her body low, her hands up, deflecting his momentum with a controlled push to his chest. He staggered back, his sneakers scuffing the concrete, his eyes wide with shock. The crowd erupted, some chanting, "Fight! Fight!" others, like Kayla and Malik, shouting for Tyler to stop. Zara stood her ground, her sketchbook still in Mia's hands, her voice cutting through the chaos. "I don't want to hurt you, Tyler," she said, her eyes locked on his, her stance unyielding. "But I'm not your punching bag. Give me my book, now." Tyler's face twisted, his ego bruised, his breath ragged. "You think you're tough," he snarled, lunging again, this time aiming a wild kick at her shin. Zara sidestepped, grabbing his ankle mid-air, twisting just enough to send him sprawling to the concrete with a thud. The crowd went wild, phones shaking, Mia's stream hitting 1,000 viewers, comments like, "She's a badass," flooding in. Jake froze, his taunts dying, while Mia dropped the sketchbook, stepping back, her phone still filming. Kayla clapped, her fear replaced by awe, and Malik moved closer, ready to back Zara if needed. Zara picked up her sketchbook, dusting it off, her eyes never leaving Tyler, who scrambled to his feet, his face a mix of rage and humiliation. "You're dead," he growled, but his voice cracked, his confidence shattered. The crowd parted as a new voice boomed across the courtyard, a woman's, authoritative, sharp. "What's going on here?" Everyone turned to see Ms. Carter, the assistant principal, striding toward them, her clipboard in hand, her dark eyes flashing with anger. Behind her was Coach Daniels, Tyler's wrestling coach, his face grim. The crowd quieted, phones lowering, but Mia's stream kept rolling, now at 2,000 viewers, the video spreading like wildfire. Ms. Carter's gaze swept over the scene, Tyler's red face, Zara's calm stance, the sketchbook in her hands, the crowd's phones. "Someone start talking," she said, her voice a command. Tyler jumped in, his voice quick, defensive. "She started it, Ms. Carter. She attacked me for no reason." Jake nodded, Mia chiming in, "Yeah, she went crazy." But Kayla stepped forward, her voice shaking but firm. That's not true. Tyler was bullying her, took her book, pushed her. Malik backed her up, his voice steady. He's been at her all week. She was just defending herself. Ms. Carter's eyes narrowed, landing on Zara, who stood tall, her sketchbook clutched to her chest. Miss Brooks, she said, her tone softer but firm. What happened? Zara met her gaze, her voice clear, unyielding. They took my sketchbook, pushed me, wouldn't stop. I asked for it back. They didn't listen. She glanced at Tyler, her eyes steady. I didn't want to fight, but I wasn't gonna let them walk over me. The crowd murmured, phones still raised, Mia's stream now campus-wide, the hashtags #Zara fights back and #no room for racism gaining traction. Ms. Carter's face hardened, her gaze shifting to Tyler, whose bravado was crumbling under scrutiny. Coach Daniels stepped forward, his voice low. Vance, my office. Now. Tyler's eyes widened, but before he could protest, Zara spoke, her voice calm, a spark in her eyes. They don't know who I am, she said, addressing Ms. Carter, the crowd, the cameras. But they're about to find out. The courtyard held its breath, phones capturing the moment, and Ms. Carter's eyes widened, sensing something bigger was coming. Zara wasn't just a freshman, she was a champion, and Tyler had picked the wrong fight. Have you ever stood up to a bully or seen someone fight back like Zara? Drop your story in the comments with #no room for racism, I'm reading every one. The courtyard at Lincoln High School was a cauldron of tension, the September sun blazing down as the crowd of students stood frozen, their phones capturing every second of the showdown between Zara Brooks and Tyler Vance. The concrete expanse shimmered with heat, the air thick with the scent of grass and pizza, but all eyes were on Zara, standing calm and unyielding, her black t-shirt and jeans a stark contrast to the chaos around her. Her sketchbook was back in her hands, clutched tightly, her braids swaying as she faced Tyler, who was scrambling to his feet, his face a mix of rage and humiliation after her swift takedown. Mia's phone, still live streaming, now had thousands of viewers, hashtags like #Zara fights back and #no room for racism exploding across social media. Jake hovered behind Tyler, his taunts silenced, while Mia stepped back, her camera shaking. Kayla, the freshman, stood wide-eyed, her lunch tray forgotten, and Malik, the senior, loomed nearby, ready to step in. Ms. Carter, the assistant principal, and Coach Daniels, Tyler's wrestling coach, stood at the crowd's edge, their faces grim, the weight of Zara's words, they don't know who I am, but they're about to find out, hanging heavy, a spark ready to ignite. Tyler wiped the dust from his jeans, his breath ragged, his buzz cut glinting as he glared at Zara. You got lucky, he snarled, his voice cracking, trying to rally his fading bravado. You think you're tough, 'cause you tripped me? I'm not scared of you. He took a step forward, his fists clenched, but Coach Daniels's voice boomed, stopping him cold. Vance, stand down. The coach strode closer, his eyes narrowing, but Tyler ignored him, his ego driving him to lunge at Zara again, aiming a wild shove at her chest. Zara moved like lightning, her years of karate training a blur of instinct. She sidestepped, grabbing Tyler's arm, twisting it in a controlled lock that forced him to his knees with a yelp. The crowd gasped, phones zooming in, Mia's stream hitting 10,000 viewers, comments flooding in, she's unreal. Tyler's done. Zara held the lock just long enough to make her point, then released, stepping back, her stance still ready, her eyes locked on Tyler's. I told you, she said, her voice low, steady, cutting through the crowd's roar. I don't want to hurt you. But I will defend myself. Tyler crumpled, clutching his arm, his face red with shame as the crowd erupted, some cheering for Zara, others shouting at Tyler to back off. Jake backed away, his hands up, while Mia's phone dropped to her side, her smirk gone. Ms. Carter stepped forward, her clipboard raised, her voice sharp. Enough. Everyone, back up. The crowd parted, phones still filming, but Zara stood her ground, her sketchbook now tucked under her arm, her presence commanding the courtyard. Ms. Carter's eyes flicked to Zara, her expression softening but firm. "Miss Brooks, are you all right?" Zara nodded, her breath steady, her eyes meeting the principal's. "I'm fine," she said, her voice clear. "I just wanted my book back." They wouldn't stop. Kayla rushed forward, her voice trembling but bold. "She's telling the truth. Tyler's been picking on her all week, calling her names, saying she doesn't belong." Malik nodded, stepping up, his voice deep. "I saw it too." He pushed her first. She was just protecting herself. Tyler staggered to his feet, his voice desperate, pointing at Zara. "She attacked me. She's the one who doesn't belong here." But his words fell flat, the crowd's murmurs turning against him, phones capturing his meltdown. Mia's stream, now shared across platforms, showed thousands of comments. "He's lying. Zara's a hero." Coach Daniels grabbed Tyler's shoulder, his voice low, furious. "You're done, Vance. Get to my office." But before Tyler could move, Zara spoke, her voice rising, addressing the crowd, the cameras, the world watching. "You think you can judge me because I'm new, because I'm black, because I'm quiet," she said, her eyes sweeping over Tyler, Jake, Mia, then the crowd. "You don't know me. I'm Zara Brooks, regional karate champion, black belt since I was 13. I've trained harder than you'll ever understand, fought tougher battles than you'll ever face. I didn't come here to fight, but I won't let you walk over me." She held up her sketchbook, her voice steady, a fire in her eyes. "This is mine. My art, my strength, my place. And you don't get to take it." The courtyard went silent, the weight of her words sinking in. Tyler's face drained of color, his mouth opening but no words coming out. Jake stared at the ground, Mia's phone now limp in her hand, her stream hitting 50,000 views. Kayla's eyes shone with tears, her hands clapping softly, while Malik grinned, nodding in respect. The crowd erupted, applause and cheers swelling, some shouting Zara's name, others turning their phones to capture her, not Tyler. Ms. Carter's jaw tightened, her eyes flicking to Coach Daniels, who shook his head, his face grim. "Vance, move," he said, pulling Tyler back, the boy's defiance shattered. Hayes stepped forward, her voice authoritative, addressing the crowd. "This ends now. Tyler, Jake, Mia, to my office. The rest of you, disperse." She turned to Zara, her tone softer. "Miss Brooks, come with me. You're not in trouble, but we need to talk." Zara nodded, tucking her sketchbook into her backpack, her eyes meeting Kayla's and Malik's, a silent thank you for their support. The crowd parted as she followed Ms. Carter, phones still filming, the video now viral, a beacon of resistance against bullying and bias. Tyler stumbled after Coach Daniels, his head bowed, his wrestling career in jeopardy. Jake and Mia trailed behind, their bravado gone, Mia's phone confiscated by a teacher who joined the scene. The courtyard buzzed as students dispersed, some whispering about Zara's skills, others sharing the video, hashtags like #KarateQueen and #NoRoomForRacism trending nationwide. Zara walked with her head high, her heart full, not of anger, but of purpose. She hadn't just taken back her sketchbook, she'd taken back her place, and Tyler had learned the hard way who he was dealing with. The courtyard at Lincoln High School had emptied, the September sun dipping lower, casting long shadows across the concrete where Zara Brooks had just turned a moment of bullying into a stand for justice. The buzz of the crowd was gone, replaced by the distant hum of a lawnmower and the rustle of leaves under the oak tree where Zara's sketchbook had been her shield. Inside the assistant principal's office, Zara sat across from Miss Carter, her black t-shirt and jeans still carrying the dust of the confrontation, her braids neat despite the chaos. Her sketchbook rested on her lap, a quiet victory, her dark eyes steady as Miss Carter leaned forward, her clipboard set aside, her expression a mix of concern and admiration. Outside, the school was abuzz, Mia's viral video now at 1 million views, hashtags like #KarateQueen and #NoRoomForRacism trending across platforms, Zara's stand a spark that had ignited a firestorm of support. Ms. Carter's voice was soft but firm. "Zara, what you did out there took courage," she said, her eyes meeting Zara's. "I've seen the video, heard from witnesses. Tyler and his group were wrong, and they'll face consequences." She paused, her lips curving into a faint smile. "But you showed everyone what strength looks like. I'm proud of you." Zara nodded, her heart full, her voice quiet but clear. "I just wanted my book back," she said, her fingers tracing the sketchbook's edge. "I didn't mean for all this." Ms. Carter chuckled, shaking her head. "Sometimes, standing up does more than you plan." The fallout was swift. Tyler, Jake, and Mia were suspended, their parents called, Tyler's wrestling season on hold pending a disciplinary review. Coach Daniels, shaken by the video, vowed to address the team's culture, while the school launched an anti-bullying campaign, spurred by student petitions on social media. Zara's video, shared by influencers and news outlets, became a rallying cry, comments flooding in, "She's my hero. End racism in schools." Her phone buzzed with messages, Kayla thanking her for standing tall, Malik inviting her to the art club, a local dojo offering her a guest coaching spot. One message, from a middle school girl, hit hardest: "I'm black and get picked on. You make me want to be brave." Zara replied, "You already are. Keep fighting." By Monday, the school had changed. Posters for the anti-bullying campaign lined the halls, and Zara's sketches, shared by Kayla on social media, were featured in a student art exhibit. She joined the art club, her quiet presence inspiring others, and guest coached at the dojo, teaching kids to channel strength into discipline. The video hit 10 million views, sparking national conversations about bullying and bias, with Zara's hashtags uniting communities online. She stayed grounded, sketching and training, her black belt a reminder of her power, her art a vision of her future. Zara's fight wasn't just for her, it was for every kid told they don't belong, every voice drowned out by hate. She showed us that strength isn't just in fists or belts, but in standing up, together. So, what about you? Have you faced a bully or seen someone rise against bias? Share your story with #NoRoomForRacism in the comments. I'm reading every one. If Zara's courage lit a fire in you, smash that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell. Let's build a world where no one's targeted, and every champion shines.